Welcome back to RPG A Day, day 12 for sure. Oldest game you still play. Okay, especially since the highlighted word was still, this is how I'm thinking about this question. So, still means that you currently play it. Not necessarily that you currently have a campaign going, but that you would, right? It's on your list of things that you would do. You haven't tossed it out and given it up for something else. Um, Nor is it something that you plan on playing for the first time. That's how I would interpret this question. I'll put a book behind that. There we go. And I had to make a list because I do want to talk about some of the other systems, and I just kind of want to go through it. I'm going to go through it in chronological order, going from the oldest, right? So the oldest thing. Until 2 years ago or so, my answer still would have been Rolemaster 2nd Edition, which was 1985. So old, right? Because I thought I would have an easy answer for this question, and a pretty decent one. You know, I'm not a D&D player, so I can't go all the way back to the near beginning of the hobby. But a lot of the things that I like are discontinued and out of print, and so I thought that that would be easy. But if you've been around my channel, you know that I have pretty much entirely moved from Rolemaster 2nd Edition to the current release, Rolemaster Unified. So that's 2022, right? Like the core law book was published officially as a like gold release on Drive-Thru RPG like October 2022, so fairly recently. So obviously that's not the oldest game I play anymore. So then I went through my collection, looking at the publication dates. So Rifts deserves a mention. Am I doing this chronologically anymore if I say that? Yes. Yes, I am. So Rifts. I said this earlier in an RPG a Day question this year. I really love the setting on Rifts. I really just don't like the simple go slog through hit points or mega damage capacity and SDC standard damage capacity in Rifts, but I could house roll that, I suppose, rather than porting everything over to some other system. That would probably be the easier adaptation to be able to get into that game. So if I was to do that, I'm open to it. I do not have anything planned. Then the truest answer might be Rifts, which is 1990. Moving up from that, what's next on the list? Yes, I have a list here. So Riddle of Steel. So we're moving a bit into what is on the schedule to be played, but it hasn't been played before, so I don't know if I would still play it. So Riddle of Steel. Riddle of Steel was published in 2001. I'd like to check it out. I don't expect to necessarily want to continue playing that a lot, but I'm open to it being possible. That's the biggest thing here. I'm open to the possibilities of this becoming one of my main available games. It just hasn't been there yet. And so I want to give these guys basically like all honorable mention, if you will. From there, we go to 2009's Earthdawn 2nd Edition. Now, the first edition of Earthdawn might be much earlier than 2009. So, you know, from the same way that I mentioned Rolemaster 2, which went back to 1985, maybe the first edition of Earthdawn is in the late 1990s, which would put it before Riddle of Steel. But I own 3rd edition for no particular reason other than it looked like that was the most popular edition overall when I did my little bit of research, and that might be wrong, and that's 2009. Go a little bit forward to 2011. Not the next game we have scheduled, but the game after that scheduled is The One Ring. I have the 1st edition. I understand that the 1st edition to the 2nd edition is not much of a rules change. It's mostly publication and layout and stuff like that, from what I understand. The One Ring is on the slate to be played, and it's a possibility that it's mechanics will become a mainstay of my collection. So, kind of an honorable mention there, 2011. Past that, we go to 2015. I should have mentioned this earlier because this isn't so much a possibility. I am currently playing a Dragon Age adventure being run by somebody else. I mentioned that earlier as well. And Dragon Age was published in 2015. I own Dragon Age. I do not like its very Pathfindery character building. Like, you really kind of need to have an eye forward in what your character is doing. I had the one time I ran it, I had players who ran into, oh, I want to do this, but I can't because I don't have this, which would have been a selection I could have made the previous level. Not real fond of that. Dragon Age is not on my list of things to continue playing, like, from my perspective, but I am currently playing it as a player. And that's one of those things where you play a game because you want to play with your friends, not because you like the game. A little bit step past that is 2016's Dark Eye, whichever edition that Dark Eye is. Dark Eye is supposed to be a really big game over in Europe. I've heard that it has some things that, as a Rolemaster fan and someone who doesn't like certain things in Dungeons and Dragons, that I would find interesting. I bought it because I had the discount. I mentioned that a little while ago too. I haven't even read the book yet. Maybe it'll get on the list of systems. Like, I could potentially see, just knowing what I flipped through the book, seeing and what I heard about it, it could potentially, gasp, fully replace Rolemaster. Could. I don't know. Haven't played it yet. Haven't even read the book. Don't know. Let's see. That's 2016. And then the last one I will mention is that I said that the next slated game is Mutants and Masterminds 3rd edition, 2018. I expect the Mutants and Masterminds 3rd edition might be the superhero game that I've been looking for. A lot of people have suggested Champions to me. I know Champions is very similar to GURPS, and I have played both of those systems at conventions, and I mentioned, man, so many topics are coming up over and over again. I have found that the weight of the simulationist bone in that one is maybe not worth what it's giving. And so I wonder if Mutants and Masterminds is where it's at for me when it comes to Super's game. If it is, then Mutants and Masterminds would be a mainstay. So of the contenders, so Rolemaster Unified 2022, obviously not the oldest. If I ever went back to Rifts, let's just not even mention that one actually. More reasonably, One Ring 2011 and Mutants and Masterminds 2018 and Dark Eye 2016. Those are all contenders for being on my regular rotation, so to speak, of what I would play, which would make, if they were all successful, then the One Ring would be the oldest system, being 2011. But as it stands now, the oldest thing that I still play would be Dragon Age 2015, but I wouldn't choose to run that. And then we're back to Rolemaster Unified 2022. For someone who's been in the hobby as long as I have, it seems weird that my oldest game would be 2022. But that's it. See you later.